Yeah, I think volatility needs to be seen in the long run, not as risk, especially when you have a 16-year data set for something like this, and you can see the volatility overlaid with the overall trend. Like, this is a unique perspective, and so you actually have these opportunities, right, to take massive advantage of temporary explosive exponential growth rates. But what I also try to hammer home is this idea of hodling, right? So it turns out that Bitcoin spends about half of its time in these sort of crab crawl accumulation phases. So I'm showing a different graph here. So millennials, and again, I'm a millennial, right? We get this a bad rap for being lazy and eating avocado toast and things like that. But there's at least 50% of the time in Bitcoin's life you've had, and you will have, and arguably still you have time right now to accumulate during these phases and be able to reap the rewards of the same CAGR, the same growth rate as what the average trend line is doing. This is not the average. I'm showing here the lower 50th percentile, right? So anywhere between the 50th and the first percentile, so all the bottom data, that's where the accumulation phase is in terms of Wyckoff cycles. I like to call them crab walks, crab crawls. Half the data looks like this, right? And so I like to sort of take solace in the fact that I can buy 50% of the time when the data is along this accumulation phase. And in the future, the volatility is only going down. So the bubbles we're still experiencing high volatility compared to traditional assets, but over the next 10 and 20 years, and this is kind of where the decay channel model comes in, which I can transition into, but that's going to continue to diminish as the market cap grows and the asset matures. This is what happens. And they're going to have a much more stable, maybe around the time that they plan to retire, the volatility is going to be much less of a concern.
Yeah.
And so
what I love is the tension between, do I take action now and like stomach the volatility? Like, how much do I study to stomach the volatility to actually capitalize on the opportunity I have now? Or do I wait when the volatility is lower, my perceived risk is lower, but then the price is running away from me? So actually my opportunity is dwindling to eventually achieve, whatever the stacking goal is that someone has.
Yep.
And that just in general, I love that about Bitcoin, right? Like, that's the asymmetric opportunity. Like, how much
and what it means is and I think these kinds of this sort of perspective is empowering, right? Because now you can tell yourself how likely it is that you're actually in a bubble versus in an accumulation phase. And so if you're ever in a bubble, in this case, if you're a millennial trying to stack for retirement, anytime you're actually in a bubble, you're going to be at that time in a very, very favorable position in terms of when you bought in the past. But if you're in the accumulation phase, you're still going to be getting, that between 30 and 40% growth rate. So it's all, this helps empower those trying to embrace the hodling mindset, which personally is, I think, the way to go. So this is the decay channel model, which shows that top bound. And what this does is it takes all the historical bubbles and it takes the very tippy tops of the data, and it fits. That's actually an exponential decay. I won't get deep into the math because it confuses people, but the exponential decay is happening with incredible precision. In fact, if you took the first three bubbles using this model and you tried to predict the fourth bubble in 2021, it came within like $3,000 or $4,000 of the top there.
Oh, wow.
And so now we're taking that and moving forward. And I'm not trying to I don't like to do timing predictions because I think fundamentally liquidity cycles and political things and geopolitical things, there's nothing fundamentally that locks them into a tight 4-year cycle. That's kind of what it's been, a roughly 4-year cycle, but they're not exact. So this is more of an upper bound for what the bubble tops could be deep into the future. So this goes all the way out to 2041. So what I did was I turned this into an oscillator, which I try to update semi-periodically. I made some code changes recently, but this is the percent difference, right? The normalized percent difference between that upper and lower bound here. And I make a cool video out of it too. It plots it, has music and everything. But right now we're about 40% charged. I'm a battery guy, so let's say about 40% charged. So in terms of, are we in the accumulation phase? Not exactly. We're in kind of a weird crab crawl right now. But every cycle that we've had, we've jumped to darn near 100% in terms of these parabolic moves, and we have not seen that yet. So the liquidity still has not happened yet. So this is, I would still argue, a good accumulation period.